Well, I shared a little bit, on your page. It's like this is not where I started. I was a diehard left-brainer. I was very structured, very rigid. I actually practiced employment law. I was a partner at a large law firm. But that isn't where I started. I mean, when I was little, my biological dad left us when I was 3. He was an alcoholic, and at that age, I was still in my mom's aura. I don't know if people are aware of that, but up until the age of like around 7, the kids are still in their mom's auras. You're just like a sponge. You're just absolutely open, and you take up, you suck up everything. So I picked up everything that was going on with her. The struggles of keeping a roof over our head and her heartbeat or her heart break. And at that point, I shut down my own heart. And in fact, what I've realized is I shut down everything from my heart on up, and when everything from your heart up is shut down, you're dialed in pretty much. I mean, I was dialed in on survival. I lived life thinking I didn't have any divine help, that I had to make it all happen on my own. That's, so that's how everything turns, and it becomes, you're focused in on your left brain. You think you're the one that has to make it happen. And that's how I, ended up getting into the practice of law. My mom did end up remarrying. I married another lawyer, and I remember very early on, my husband, when we were first married, he wanted to talk to me about death. And I absolutely refused. I was just like, nope, this subject is off limits. I mean, I knew it was going to happen. The death rate is 1 per person, but I was so scared about it. I wanted to put off even the thought of it for as long as possible. Just absolutely scared. I just didn't, it's like, how do you process that if you think, if you're all in your left brain? And so then my stepdad was diagnosed with brain cancer. He did well for about a year and a half, but then he started to go downhill. And I was going to go visit him one day. He was, they lived in Chicago. I was in Minneapolis. But the day before I was headed down, I just became almost hysterical about needing to be there. And my husband, God bless him, he was just like, go, just go. So I got on a plane, this super cheap day of fare. I don't think I've ever gotten a cheaper fare to get to Chicago. I got there, I rented a car, I got to the hospital, and he died 2 hours later. And, there'd been no pre-warning. There were no calls saying gather the family, but I got to be in the room when he passed away. It was such a gift that he gave me, because being there, feeling his soul and spirit leave his body, that cracked my heart back open and gave me a peek into my right brain. And I knew at that point, I knew I was done with the practice of law. So I quit my job as a lawyer, thanks to my wonderful husband, who held space as I found my way back to myself. So I did a lot of searching. You referenced a lot of the different studies that I did along the way. But then I it was divine. I met someone who did space clearing. I was so drawn to the process that I had to get my own space cleared. And she wasn't doing it virtually. She'd come in from another state. And that space clearing, that shifted everything. It had such an impact on me. I started telling my friends. I started learning how to do it. But I was still leaving it on the sidelines. It was like this, I just knew in my being, with every part of my being, that this was work that was needed, but my left brain was having a fit that I would actually put myself out there as someone who did space clearing. But then I was actually clearing a space, and something talked to me. It kind of freaked me out. It was actually a piano in the space, and luckily the person who owned the piano was open to receiving the message. So from that, I finally acknowledged how much I love working with spaces. This was my gift. I realized I had a gift in this area. I've been told it's a very unique gift, but now I work with people from all over the world, improving the energy of their spaces. How many people get to wake up in the morning? I'm sure you say the same thing about what you do. but it's like I get to wake up in the morning and say, I wonder what so-and-so space is going to have to say to me today. I get to talk to spaces. I talk directly to your house, and your house has a voice. So that's how none of the stories, none of the sacred stories are, direct lines, they're all, but it's all, just like Lori was saying last night, it all lines up. It all, even though it seems so random and not at all connected, it absolutely all lines up and all supported me getting to exactly the place I am today. So that's kind of in a nutshell